In a world where shadows linger and whispers echo, my encounters with horror remind me that reality can often blur the lines of imagination. Nightmare. Come True. 3. Horror Stories from Real Life encapsulates 3 distinct yet interconnected tales that unveil the darkest corners of human experience. These narratives are rooted in my own life, a reflection of moments where fear entwined with reality, leading to eerie experiences that still haunt my thoughts. From the chilling aftermath of an unexplainable disappearance to an unsettling encounter with a spectral figure, each story reveals the visceral sensation of dread that accompanies them. Through these tales, I aim not only to share the fear of the unknown, but also to explore the psychological complexities behind such experiences. As we delve into these stories, the very essence of what it means to confront our nightmares will resonate with anyone who has ever doubted their own perception of reality. It was a typical Friday night, monochrome with the glow of street lamps casting elongated shadows on the empty sidewalk as I made my way home. The townsfolk often spoke of the eerie house at the end of our street, a dilapidated Victorian relic that oozed neglect and mystery. I never paid much attention to the tales, often chalked up to mere superstition, until one fateful evening. The wind howled, carrying unsettling echoes as I walked past the forlorn house. "You hear that?" whispered my friend Ethan, his eyes wide with intrigue. I reluctantly nodded, the sound of faint crying, muffled by distance, creeping into my mind. "Maybe someone needs help," he suggested earnestly. Against my better judgment, curiosity propelled us forward. As we approached the house, shadows danced beneath its splintered eaves. "I don't know, man. This feels wrong," I admitted, a shiver running down my spine. "Come on, it'll be fun," Ethan replied with a mischievous grin, the allure of adventure trumping my apprehension. We made our way onto the creaky porch, the warped wood groaning under our weight as if warning us. "Are you sure we should do this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan shrugged, his bravado unwavering. We knocked on the door tentatively, the sound flipping a switch, awakening something dormant within. Moments later, the door creaked open, and with it, the air turned thick, a mix of longing and dread flooding our senses. The foyer was dimly lit, saturated in cobwebs and stale air. "Hello?" I called out hesitantly, my heart racing. Just then, a cold gust swept through, and I heard it again, the crying, now closer. "This way." Ethan gestured towards the staircase, oblivious to the warning signals flashing in my mind. Yet, I found myself trailing behind him, compelled by an inexplicable force. On the second floor, the cry escalated into a sob. "You hear that?" I whispered with urgency. "It sounds like a child." Ethan's expression morphed, uncertainty creeping into his features. "What if it's a trap?" he countered. But before I could respond, we rounded a corner. There, in a darkened room, stood a small figure. "Where are you?" asked Ethan, stepping cautiously closer. The silhouette remained shadowed, revealing nothing but a sense of despair. "Help me," it uttered, a haunting tremor lacing the words. The room pulsated with an oppressive energy, like something unseen lay just beyond our perception. I grasped Ethan's arm firmly, panic rising within me. "We should go," I urged, but it felt as if the very air were shifting, ensnaring us in its grasp. Suddenly, the figure stepped into the flickering light, revealing a face smeared with tears, hollow eyes wide in desperation. "Please, don't let it take me," it whispered, the emotional weight of the plea hanging heavy in the room. Without thinking, I turned on my heel, dragging Ethan with me. But as we fled, the cries morphed into wild, gut-wrenching wails, echoing through the house. Whispers followed us, slithering around our ankles, urging us to stay. "We can't leave it," Ethan implored, torn between fear and empathy. The moment we stepped outside, the air shifted. The cries faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. I leaned against the porch railing, gasping for breath, but Ethan seemed consumed by turmoil. "We have to go back," he insisted, his eyes wild with the remnants of raw emotion. "We can't just abandon that girl." "Ethan, what if it's a trick?" I countered, scared and desperate. "We don't know what's in there." I became aware of the oppressive atmosphere as if the house itself reacted to our dilemma. The stillness felt pregnant with expectation, urging us to return. Nonetheless, part of me lingered on the child's plea. The sincerity of desperation overrode my instincts. We hesitated at the door, my heart pounding as uncertainty twisted in my gut. "All right, one more time," I conceded, my voice trembling. As we re-entered, the temperature plummeted, and the darkness closed in, wrapping us in a shroud of dread. The second encounter was disorienting. Each room seemed to twist and elongate, the layout transforming into an uncanny maze. The sobbing echoed more persistently, and dread pooled in my stomach. "What if we find something we can't unsee?" I murmured. Ethan, though, was resolute, pushing forward, guided by an unyielding sense of obligation. Through the labyrinth of despair, we entered the room again, but it was empty. Where the figure once stood was now mere shadows, feeble remnants of the horror we'd witnessed. "What happened?" I muttered, confusion and panic melding. I felt something behind us, a presence looming closer. "Get out!" Ethan shouted, and we bolted, adrenaline surging as we fled the malevolent grasp of those walls. Outside, daylight broke as the sun stretched its fingers over the horizon. Relief washed over me, but the sensation didn't last long. The haunting cries had morphed into incessant whispers in my mind, laced with shadows of what I had just encountered. "What was that?" Ethan gasped, still clutching my shoulder tightly. "We need to tell someone." I hesitated, torn between the inexplicable experience and seeking validation. "Who would believe us?" I replied, a tinge of bitterness fueling my words. "They'd think we're just teenagers exploring a haunted house." Despite my reservations, we confided in an elderly neighbor, Mrs. Thompson. Her reaction was mesmerizingly unexpected. "You're not the first to hear the cries," she shared solemnly. "A child went missing years ago from that house. They never found her." My heart sank, the weight of her words gnawing inside me. That day marked a change in me, an understanding of fear that transcended mere fright. The boundary between reality and the supernatural blurred, leaving a void filled with uncertainty. I often found myself back at that house in my thoughts, haunted by the ghostly silhouette that would forever remain etched in my memory. Years passed, but those dread-laden echoes accompanied me like an uninvited specter. The tales we spun about the house and its haunted history became legends within our friend group. Yet my connection to it remained woven in profound apprehension. Evenings were colored by lingering uncertainty about what truly resided within those walls. I often visited Mrs. Thompson, hearing her recount tales of loss and emptiness, ensuring I understood that some places teem with the remnants of sorrow. As she passed on, I felt the burden of her stories being handed down, shifting into my own. One evening, guided by nostalgia, I stood before the now abandoned house, a desolate monument to my fears. I recalled the child's desperate plea, the weight in its voice. "I come to pay my respects," I murmured into the wind. As if replying, shadows curled at the edges, whispers echoing as I turned to leave. But I understood now. Some nightmares are not born from imagination. They are realities born from grief, echoing endlessly through the fabric of our lives. For those of you who have horror or supernatural experiences, feel free to share your story to the email provided in the description below. Who knows, your story might be featured in our next video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any exciting videos.